Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Harakakadash, double honors to the apostles and elders, great most honorable well, and Shalom to the brothers doing the work of sharing truth. Yeah, you had this, summer solstice here in the UK, and these guys, it's become more and more of something that's become very common in culture over here, especially to be celebrating these pagan high holy days, because they're gonna say in the article they call it like English heritage. That's how they're referring it to it. They're saying it's an English heritage thing where it's about the ancient customs of the English, the ancient customs of the English, which these are things that were started, going way back, and it's these legendary pagan customs, which you can see. That guy's fucking afro is legendary. Fucking, what's he doing there? That's funny as hell. There's a fucking legendary afro. Hello, Jake's up there. Fucking hell. For a lot of people, these kinds of things now are just like going to a pub or going to a concert or something. It's just some form of entertainment, a way to pass time. But even though it's like there's obviously pagan observations going down, these guys might just be thinking like, oh, okay, it's just it's just a day out. It's just us going to see blah blah blah. But obviously, as they're observing it, these are ancient wicked customs where reverence is being given onto what do you call it, man? Onto the left hand side. There's demons that they're reverencing. There's pagan what's it called? Pagan customs that are being followed. Like it says, a woman dressed in pagan attire watches the sunrise. Yeah, she looks like she'll suck your soul through your rod, man. They'll be on a madness. But yeah, these things are like now, especially with how people have come with what they're called star signs, these different stones, all these different things that people observe. All these different different forms of paganism, different forms of worship that people are observing. That goes back to an ancient source. So it's like when you're giving honor onto it, you're giving honor on, there's a demon attached to that. There's ancient spirits on the left hand side which are associated. And that's why it's like people that get into these things, they'll get a certain kind of spirit on them. And they might just start with they'll just start with one thing, and then they'll start getting into tarot cards. They might go to witch meetups. They might go and do get into paganism, get into Wicca, get into judge, get into various different angles. And these are things that have always gone around. It's just now in the West, because it's you go back to the West Coast, there'll be movies about it. I remember like Billionaires Club and like the Niger movies and that, where they'll have like people sacrificing their youths, to get power, to get money, to get success. And that's something which goes down. We have people like pound it, sacrifice and so on, and putting them in the concrete of the building, at the base of the building and whatnot. So people, still reverence and honor these things. But now it's being shown in the UK, and they got a hell of a lot. You have Beltane as well, where people do like I believe they did the fire festival things and whatnot over here. The biggest one is in Edinburgh in Scotland. Them guys, they do like a huge ass festival, have a big motherfucking bonfire and shit. And then as well with like Halloween, they do that. And then the winter solstice as well, around Christmas as well, they do different observations. And these things now are becoming well known. Like I said, it's an event. So I'll read on a bit. It says, thousands flock to Stonehenge to mark summer solstice. Thousands of druids, pagans, and New Age revelers greeted the summer solstice at Stonehenge on Tuesday, the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. About 6,000 people gathered at the ancient stone circle in southern England to watch the sunrise at 4:49 a.m. on a clear, crisp morning, local police said. It was the first time revelers have been permitted to gather at the Neolithic monument to celebrate the solstice since 2019. The sunrise was streamed online in 2020 and 2021 because of the sea pandemic. The crowds raised their arms in the air and cheered as the sun rose over the horizon. Some performed pagan rituals and sang songs. And yeah, that's why it's like, even if you were to just go there and just observe, if you're in the crowd, the spirit of the whole thing is gonna, that's all gonna start impacting you. Because these guys are all obviously gonna be getting into their spirit, they're gonna be channeling certain things. And that's why it's like, it's not really something you can just, observe from a distance. Says what many performed pagan rituals and sang songs, and many hugged the ancient stones as part of the ceremony. Plenty others awakened early and made the trip there just to soak up the atmosphere. Police said the ambience was convivial, and there were only 2 arrests, one for assault and one for drug possession. English Heritage, which looks after Stonehenge among around 400 historic sites, said 170,000 people around the world also watched the solstice online on Tuesday. We're delighted to have been able to welcome people back this year and also to live stream the occasion to thousands of people right around the world, said Nicola Tasker, English Heritage's director of Stonehenge. Stonehenge was built between 5,000 and 3,500 years ago on a windswept plain in southeast England by a sun-worshipping Neolithic culture. Experts still debate its purpose, but it's aligned so that on the summer solstice, the sun rises behind the hillstone and the rays of sunlight are channeled into the center of the circle. Yeah, so it's, deifying the sun. And that's one of the things that the bodies of heaven, which are the things that the heathen be out here can't wait to worship. And that's so that's the thing is all these observations, it's giving honor unto the celestial bodies as this society is doing. Then it's part of the reason why it's gonna go down, man. They're the air glorifying the sun and whatnot, which it ain't worked out so well for all these different all these different cultures that did it before. I read this, Jeremiah 10:2. It says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them." Yeah, so that the whole practice, the ancient pagan practices, And that's the thing. A lot of the modern day forms of celebration, things that are just become now part of the culture. These things, it's ancient worship. That's why it's like on Christmas. If you're gonna be out there on Christmas, going, linking up with the family, putting the presents under the tree, and then sitting there with the kids when they go, "Wah!" When he rips open his PS5 or whatever, or he gets his some fresh kicks, some Jordans are under there. He's just like, "Oh, thanks, Dad." That's a heathen practice. Same for Easter, going back to Ishtar, all these high holy days that are worship. It's not days that are just picked randomly. They're observations of different forms of paganism, and that's just been rolled into the culture. Same with what happened with that's what the Council of Nicaea was about, where it was what within the Holy Roman Empire. They're essentially integrating, giving, essentially moving pagan practices, and then trying to justify it through the scriptures, essentially. To be like, okay, we're just going to shift this, by a little bit. We're just going to accept that, so everyone can be rolled in and following it. And that's the same thing with now, where you have, in America they're called national holidays. I've heard what they call like bank holidays and whatnot. May Day. That's another one as well, May Day, where they go around the maypole, which is obviously a phallic. So you have young girls run around the maypole with the little cloths connected to the top, and then spiral it. And I think it's meant to represent the what do you call it? Like fertility. That's why it's young girls that I think have just flowered, and then they'll have them do it, showing their fertility, which is what of the vast majority of all these pagan practices. That's what it goes back to, these kind of classifications of things, fertility and whatnot. Trying to stop famines, trying to get kids, they're essentially trying to they're essentially trying to what's it called? Get blessings from these things. But further down it goes into Christmas. I'll go to the next one. Isaiah 47 and 12. It says what? Stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast laboured from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. That's another reason why, these spirits have been getting pushed out, going into all these different forms of paganism, all these different forms of what's it called? Glorifying and deifying these what do you call it? These various heathenish practices, ancient heathenish practices. Is they're they're trying to build up all that faith and strength on the left hand side, so they can achieve and accomplish their goals. That left hand side. That's why it's like with a lot of these pagans as well. They achieve, their desires are granted, through consort with those demons, through dealing with the left hand side. They'll then, achieve and accomplish things. So they'll be emboldened in it. They'll continue, to be looking towards that. But then what? Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. Yeah. So all that labor, all that work within these different channels on the left hand side, within these different forms of paganism, all these ancient observations, all these different gods that you're giving honor to, all these different ways you're maneuvering and trying to give honor to. It's not gonna work, because at the end of the day, the left hand side, that's coming from Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You bet, just as with Job, where Satan has to get the green light for how far he's gonna go. It's like, okay, because substance and his family, and then his body, then it's basically ratcheted up over time, but he gets a green light. Doesn't just go in there and just smite Job. He's basically had to go, see how, as when all the other angels gathered, Satan had to go there and report, and then present, say like, okay, can we deal with this thing in such and such a way, just as it says in I believe Kings, where it says goes into how it's luck, where it goes into how they're gonna go about. I think I might be thinking of Isaiah, when it says like, who will go out. He said like, I'll go and so yeah, but essentially it's like the angels, they have counsel, and then the oneness, they're giving their instructions. That's same with Satan. He's only allowed to go as far as he's been deemed to go. Same. That's why it's, when brothers are getting demons and messing with them, it's not something that's put. You're not given something beyond your level, because why? The Lord will have it, at a point where you can surpass it and grow. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Say all praise to Yahweh, Hashem Yashab, Hashem HaKadash, the ones, the apostles and elders who got most on it real well. Shalom, Yahweh Hashem Yashab.